UN Undersecretary General for Political Affairs Jeffrey Feltman returned on Friday from a 4-day visit to North Korea, where he met with officials, including the North Korean foreign minister. Athletes across the U.S. state of Tennessee are reaching out to a boy seen on a cell phone video in tears talking about bullying.
The video, posted on Facebook by Kimberly Jones, the mother of a middle schooler, shows her son Keaton crying as he describes being bullied by schoolmates.
They make fun of my nose. They call me ugly. They say I have no friends.
The video went viral, and Tyler Bird, a football player at the University of Tennessee, tweeted that team members will visit the school on Tuesday to combat bullying. An NFL tight end, Delaney Walker, tweeted a video invitation to the boy.
Myself and the Tennessee Titans would love to have you if you can come to a game.
Keaton's mom posted that they're overwhelmed by the response. Mona Rivera, ABC News.
You can send your tips and your photos to your story at cjad.com. From the Dormez-vous Weather Center, the snow is gone, and we should have a cloudy afternoon, mostly clear of precipitation, but we will see winds gusting as high as 40 kilometers an hour. Our high will be -2. Tonight, cloudy skies, but a chance as well the snow could resume in a low of -13. Tomorrow, sun overhead, but it'll still be quite cold. It'll be just -10 as our high. And then on Tuesday, snow for much of the day and a high of -2. The temperature downtown is currently -3. I'm Benson Cook. Next update at 1:30. Breaking news as it happens. News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Up early? Add Live at 5 to your routine. Andrew Poplawski and Trudy Mason have the latest news and weather. They'll even tell you where to find cheap gas. Live at 5. Weekday mornings, 5 a.m. News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
The Real Estate Show on CJAD 800. Your real estate and mortgaging questions answered with Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages. Here's your host, Chantal Desjardins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to CJAD's The Real Estate Show. I'm Chantal Desjardins. That is Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages and chartered mortgage broker. Hello, Terry.
What's up?
How you doing? How you been? You miss me?
Yeah, we did a little bit, but
See, we got a new intro song while I was gone.
Okay, so Dan brought up a really good point last week.
Oh, we did.
Most normal people, when they call in sick, they're like, "Oh, my tummy hurts." You went all out.
I went all out. Yeah,
Like-
I had a volcano erupting.
Yeah.
That was my excuse for not coming into work.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and use that one day. I can't come in today.
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, there's a volcano erupting in Dollard.
But the thing was, I had to do all these interviews around the world, and it was at 1 a.m. my time, and we're outside of restaurants.
So
and
how was that?
How was the volcano?
Yeah, how
It
was
was
the
hot.
whole
It was
experience?
very
Yeah.
hot.
I'm
It
a
was
little
explosive.
Yeah, you didn't bring me any lava, which whatever.
I did. It was okay for the most part. It was fine. It was one night where we were a little worried that you were gonna have to get a permanent co-host, but but for now.
But was it scary? Honestly,
You know what? We joked for the most part that it was going to be fine, but there was one night that we were actually a little bit nervous.
Okay.
There was like a tremor in the volcano, and all of a sudden reports were coming out saying it was going to erupt and it was going to happen within the next day.
Wow.
So, we cracked a bottle of champagne and thought if it's going to be our last one, make it a good one.
Nice.
And then we made it.
So what? Okay, so you went from there. You went to Shanghai.
Went to Singapore.
Yeah. And how was that?
It was great. Have you been?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah. Hung out at the world's biggest infinity pool on the roof
Very cool.
of a hotel. So
Next time we can actually do the show maybe from Singapore.
from the rooftop
Yeah.
pool.
Just saying.
Okay.
Could be
Hey, I'm
interesting.
cool with that.
Yeah.
Little mojito in hand.
We'll probably end up getting some more Facebook viewers at that point.
Very expensive though. Mojito was like $30.
Wow.
Yeah. I just put it on the room. It wasn't even my room. I just said put it on the room. And I had to run. I had to run away from the pool. So today I heard you guys talked about equity. We're finishing up the mortgage triangle.
Yeah, so
Equity was a big one.
we were supposed to be done with this last week, but we got taken off on a tangent a couple of weeks ago, so it ended up delaying. So we're going to be finishing up the financing triangle today. We're going to be talking about income and the different types of income that you need, how much you need, how the banks will calculate things, and all that good stuff.
Is it the most important aspect of the triangle?
It works hand in hand with the other elements.
All right.
I wouldn't say it's the most important, but
But it helps to have some income.
It does help to have income because without income, you're not going to get very far. So, yeah.
If you have any questions for us, call us at 514-790-0800, or you can text at 514-800. And of course, you can always go to Northeast Mortgages, and they will answer. Oh, and we're live. We're live on the Facebook.
That's
if
right.
you go over to the Facebook and you check out Terry Kilakos, you can see us in our element. Terry dressed up today.
I did. Look, I'm in a suit.
He's not in a suit. He's in a ball cap. So let's start with the market update.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
So the big news this week, December 6th, came and went. As we talked about last week, people had questions about whether or not the Bank of Canada was actually going to be raising the overnight rate. They did not. So the overnight rate remains at 1%, which is very good. All the analysts, as we talked about last week, all the indicators are basically saying that the overnight rate should not be changing until well into next year, April, May. Some analysts are going as far as saying that it's not going to change up until the end of next year. So as far as that goes, status quo, everything's the same. People with variable rate mortgages, you can breathe.
Whew.
So the Christmas holidays are going to be good.
Great.
Okay. So that's the news from the Bank of Canada. The other big news this week was the Laurentian Bank was caught with their hand in the cookie jar a little bit. So they ended up selling a whole bunch of mortgages, which turns out, so behind the scenes, I'll just give a little background. When someone sets up a mortgage with a bank, you have to understand banks don't make money off them. So they want to unload them off of their books as quickly as possible. So they sell them off to investment companies and people that would want to buy them. So they typically will package up the mortgages and they'll say this is a AAA rated group of clients, and they will sell them onto the open market, or they'll sell them to investment firms. The investment firms will pick them up. Once they pick them up, the investment firm makes the return on it and pays off Laurentian or whichever bank it is that's selling them.
Right.
The problem with the mortgages that Laurentian Bank packaged together, some of the mortgages were not as they described them to be.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, for example, it wasn't necessarily a AAA rated mortgage. There was some discrepancies in income. There was discrepancies in a lot of different things that Laurentian told the investors. So now Laurentian Bank is being forced to buy back these mortgages. I don't remember offhand when they have a deadline to buy them back. They will buy them back, and they've apologized for everything. But that actually caused Laurentian's share price to just
Plummet.
it was a huge hit. After they reported massive profits and their share price shot up, it just tanked again.
And how did they get caught?
Audit.
Yeah.
They basically, all the stuff, the mortgages got audited, and when they got audited, they were caught. So.
Yeah, but they had to know that at some point they're going to get audited.
You know what? They said that it was a computer glitch. It was a mistake. So.
Oh, I've heard that one before.
Yeah, like a volcano erupting. It happens. It happens.
It does happen.
Yeah.
What, volcanoes or?
Both.
Okay.
Glitches.
Okay, let's talk about this triangle. So we've done credit, we've done equity, we've got income today. How does the bank decide if you earn enough to get approved for a mortgage?
Okay. So I'll do a quick little recap about, so when we're looking at credit, you have an element, you have an algorithm that's used by Equifax and TransUnion. It's called the FICO scoring system. Credit scores range from 300 to 900. You should have a credit score of around 650. The second thing that's looked at is what we talked about last week, which is your loan to value. In other words, your equity. How much loan are you taking versus the value of the house, right? When you look at those two elements by themselves, they're nothing without the third element, which is the income. Now, the income element basically has two ratios that are used. One's called the GDS ratio. The other one's called the TDS ratio. And not to get overly technical, GDS is basically your gross debt service ratio. It looks at all the debts that are specifically related to the property that you're buying. So it's going to look at your property taxes. It's going to look at your school taxes. It's going to look at your heating costs. It's going to look at your mortgage payments. And all of those, you shouldn't be exceeding 35% of your gross annual income to pay those things. Now, if your credit score is above a certain point, you're going to be allowed to go to 39% GDS. The other element the other ratio that's looked at in the equation is your TDS ratio. And your TDS ratio is your total debt. So that'll look at all those. So everything that we just discussed, plus your car payments, credit cards, loans, car payments, so on and so forth. So once you take all of those in there, it says you can't go over 42%. If your credit score, again, is above a certain point, usually above 680, they'll let you go to 44%. So this is an example of how the three elements will work together. If your credit score is strong, they'll cut you some slack on the ratios, on your GDS and TDS ratios. But if your credit score is weak, then it has to compensate.
Right.
So that's pretty much its summary. That's what we'll go more into detail, I guess, after the traffic break. But that's the summary of it.
Well, I'm going to think about all of the numbers that you just gave me there.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, should we check out the roads?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's do it.
let's take it. After this, we'll dissect exactly what Terry just said when I replay the tape. For now, let's check in with Kira Yeager.
We have a stalled vehicle out there right now. It's in the Turcotte interchange on the 15 south in the right.
Buddy!
Yes.
Pete Mary, eh? You're on our Facebook Live right now. Come on in. Come on in, Pumpkin.
It's okay, go for it. They can hear you.
So do you want me to ask anything to clarify that?
What's that?
Do you want me to ask anything to, like, simplify that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like...
Where you been?
Where have you been? I've been in a volcano.
Yeah, no, I saw
I know, right? Nearly exploded. Then you'd be sorry.
No, careful what you wish for.
I
I was
know,
want to live
right?
in an exotic island
Exactly.
somewhere.
You want to give a shout out to anyone?
You want to say hi? It's the best thing that ever happened in my career was being in this natural disaster. 30 interviews in 48 hours. BBC.
Okay, hang on. It's all about Chantal.
Oh.
Let me hear every one of those interviews. Funny, I didn't see one. Go figure. You sure it was 30, Desi? How are you, baby? You
Good,
good?
I miss you.
You're Terry, right?
I am.
Hi,
Pete
you
Mary.
must have known each other. And Marav.
Mitch, man. Good.
Hi,
What's your name?
Marav.
What's your name?
Marav.
I'm a little deaf, Moran.
He just a
So.
little deaf.
What?
Hey, buddy. I miss you.
Too much rock and roll.
What? That wasn't a joke. Pardon me?
Too much rock and roll.
Yeah, pretty well. I'm training. I'm going back there. So.
You're training what?
Show 'em.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we know.
Great. Right?
Yes.
Love it.
Hello. I didn't swear.
Yay, that's
Oh, good.
Happy.
Starting next week.
Cool.
I have to have a little beep in
Radio
there.
guys. Pete, we used to work together.
I know. Pete and I had magic. I'm doing the morning show tomorrow on
Who is?
Virgin.
You is? Pourquoi?
Because that's just what I do.
Yeah.
Radio. We had a thing. You and me. It was magic.
I don't remember.
Ah!
I remember that.
Yeah.
That was like 30 years ago.
I was like, I was 6.
Yeah.
Pete was already 36.
All right, you know what? I came here to say hi and spread some good vibes.
So we have
man.
a real estate show to do here. So
Beg your pardon me, what?
we have a real estate show to do. We're just gonna talk
Well,
about.
make sure you bring up the volcano.
That's
Terry,
she's
tell
been
me,
talking
if I
about.
want to buy a house where a volcano is bubbling nearby, will I get a good deal? Why, yes, Pete, you will.
Okay, tell me again the 2 things that we just talked about.
Desi, talk to me
Bye.
this week. Let me give you a goddamn...
Sure, I'm around for the next 2 weeks. Let's grab lunch or something.
Then you going somewhere else after? You going back to Con or something? Or what?
Yeah, I am actually.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that.
Oh, you have.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go bragging about that.
Well, I'm not. You just brought it up. Okay.
He's hilarious.
He's so funny. So GD, say it again.
GDS
GDS,
and TDS.
TDS.
Gross debt service, total debt service.
Debt.
By the way, this is for David Ahmedian, he's our accountant at the office, and he's like, you have to have something that reminds people of Northeast Mortgages. So I brought a folder. And I was
That's
like,
fun.
Here you go.
Great.
So I'm just gonna set it up like this, just for.
Do you see if there's any Facebook questions? I don't know why I can't log on to anything. Are there any good Facebook questions yet?
No.
Okay. Do.
I work as a consultant at a tech company. Is it tougher for me to get a mortgage? Pierre.
Where don't I see that?
I don't know. I have the M Studio open. Astral.wpu.
Hey, how would I?
Here. I got it for you. I got it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You're
It's
back
all
on the air
good.
in like any second. Eh?
You're like back on the air in a second. Look, wouldn't it be this?
No.
Oh. You know what you're doing. You know.
I know.
You know things.
All chats. See?
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so this is the first one coming in. Should we start with Pierre?
Sure.
Pierre's? Great.
See?
Great.
Now you're all organized too.
Yeah.
Real Estate Show on CJAD 800 with Chantal Desjardins and Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages.
And we're back. Terry hasn't broken anything yet, but he's off to a raring start.
That actually hurts.
If you're watching us on Facebook Live right now, you'd notice he took his headphones and he smashed them into his forehead. And now we'll just carry on like it never happened. If you have questions out there in the radio land, call us 514-790-0800 or text CJD at 514-800 and we will answer them. Or you can go to Facebook and type your questions in there in the old Facebook. My mom's even tuned in right now.
Fantastic.
In Winnipeg.
Is she on Facebook Live?
She has no idea. She's like, what do I do after I go to the Google?
Oh, okay.
So, like, it's a slow process. We just got our first text. I work as a consultant at a tech company. Is it tougher for me to get a mortgage? Pierre.
So, okay. It's going to depend on a couple of different things. Obviously, how long he's been working as a consultant at the tech company. So working as a consultant, you are considered self-employed. So it's different than being on salary. So I'll give you an example. If Pierre was working as he was on an income, on a salary, and he is earning $100,000 a year, whatever the income is that he has, that's what we would be using to qualify that mortgage. However, as a consultant, what ends up happening is you end up having a company, the company that you work for, so the tech company would be paying his consulting firm or his consulting company, then he would actually be deducting expenses and stuff like that. So we would have to use his net amount. Okay. And the other thing I will add, as a consultant for working for a tech company, make sure that you have multiple companies that you're actually employed by, because Revenue Quebec will come after you.
Wow.
Yeah. It's they're going after people for that. Yeah.
Like you're noticing it.
Yeah.
Already?
So basically, what's happening is it's very common that companies, especially in the tech sector, they're going to hire someone and just tell them, well, you know what, we're going to put you as did you break the chair? You broke the chair.
I tried to do it very subtly, but for some reason, I feel like I'm in a high chair right now. Like I'm on like a throne. My microphone's down at my knees.
You could adjust the microphone.
No,
right?
I can't. This microphone is... Carry on.
So, okay. So basically, what was I saying? I don't even remember what I was talking about. Okay. All right. So this...
They're coming after you.
Okay. So yeah. So
Not you.
basically what happens is Revenue Quebec, Revenue Canada, what they're going to do is they're going to look at the company that you're working for, and they're going to say, okay, you have this consulting company, but the only company that you are working for, or that's your client, is company ABC. So because it's only company ABC, we don't classify you as a consultant, even though you have a consulting company and all that stuff. It's crazy. So if you have even one other company that you're employed by, then you could say you're a consultant. But if it's only one, it could turn around and bite you.
Wow.
It won't happen in the first year. It won't happen in the second. But come third year, they'll hit you with something.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
All you consultants out there who
Yeah.
maybe knew that. Most of them know that, though, right?
Well,
No?
You'd be surprised.
I didn't know that. I'm
You'd
kind
be
of a
surprised.
consultant.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I like that. I'm kind of a consultant.
before we took a little look at the roads, we were talking about the GDS and the TDS, and obviously I understood right away about the gross
Sure,
debt
absolutely.
service and the total debt service. But just so it sinks in, I like to hear things twice. Can you just simplify it one more time for those of us that maybe...
Okay, so your GDS ratio is a ratio that's used for your income.
Right.
Right? It's your gross debt service. And no more than a certain amount of your gross annual income can go to paying debts that are related to that specific ratio.
Okay.
So if you're making $100,000 a year, no more than, let's say, 39% of your gross annual income, so $39,000, can be spent on those debts. So that means for $39,000, you need to be able to pay your mortgage, pay your heating costs, pay your property and school taxes, and if you have condo fees, your condo fees. Right? So
Yep.
39,000. The other ratio says that no more than 44% of your gross annual income can go to paying those things, plus your car payments, credit cards, loans, lines of credit, so on and so forth.
Okay.
That's
For anybody that texted in saying could Terry go over it one more time?
We just went
handle
over it.
now.
Yeah, that's it.
Good.
Exactly.
Okay, so just got a text from someone who didn't leave their name, so we'll just call them Bob.
Okay.
Bob says, I did a consumer proposal. I have a $100,000 mortgage left on my property. Its value is $478,000 on the market. If I were to buy a house worth $500,000, would I be able to get another mortgage?
Yeah, you can. He can get another mortgage. I mean, it's always going to depend on whether or not he's paid off the consumer proposal and whether or not he's going to, or he's planning to pay off the consumer proposal. He definitely should be paying it off. Typically, when someone does do a consumer proposal, and they come to see us, what we do is we set them up on a process to actually help them rebuild their credit. Consumer proposal is basically you've gotten to a point you can't pay your debts, and you say, I'm done. I can't pay. Either it's bankruptcy or you guys need to settle with me. They go to a trustee. Trustee will set something up, and they'll say over the next 5 years you have to pay X amount of dollars to your credit card companies, and usually you're paying pennies on the dollar, which is good. It's fine. Consumer proposals are wonderful if you need to get it. I don't suggest that everyone runs out and gets one right now, but it is something that is available. And yes, you can get a mortgage. The interest rate is going to be at a higher rate. It's not going to be your average bank that's going to be setting it up, but we do them and we have done them for clients, and I'd be more than happy to help him out if he wants to or she wants to give me a call. We'll definitely sit down with them and crunch the numbers.
And you can call Terry at Northeast Mortgages at 514-680-4674 after the show's done, or you can write him on Facebook Live, which we're right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can text us your questions at 514-800. We're talking about the mortgage financing triangle. We talked about credit, we talked about equity, and now we are on income. So will a financial institution consider a brand new employment?
Yes, as long as you're not on probation. So typically what happens in Quebec, you end up having 3 months of probationary period. That's according to the norme de travail, and the law basically says that you're on probation for 3 months, which means an employer can terminate the employment within the first 3 months without any reason. They could just say, thank you, it's not working out, have a good one. Once the probation period is over, no problem. You're good to go. You can get it. Typically what happens, people that have just started a new job, if they know that they're buying the house and they're our clients, what we're going to do is we're going to tell them, please make sure that when you go and you get your contract, you make sure you negotiate in there that you're not going to be on probation. And a lot of times they're able to get away with that. They'll go to the employer. They'll say, look, I'm planning on buying a house. I can't be on probation.
Right.
So please remove that condition. And sometimes the employer will, and other times they won't. The most important thing for us is that when someone applies for a mortgage, we need 2 proofs of income. So we need a pay stub and a letter of employment. That letter of employment cannot say that they're on probation.
All right. And we got a message coming in now, but I guess we'll answer it after the break about all self-employed people. Is that the same as the consultants? It is,
No, it's not. Okay. Not all self-employed people are the same.
So like what type of income is accepted? We'll get to that.
Exactly. Yeah.
After this, you're listening to Terry Kilakos and Chantal Desjardins on CJD's The Real Estate Show. Stick around.
Okay, I think I broke the computer.
No.
I'm stuck.
Really? Why?
My page is I broke it. It's broken.
Every single show.
Break something.
I'm good. It's working. It's working, people.
Oh, God.
Phew. You've not broken anything yet. Anything on the old Facebook? The Facebookaroo?
Is there?
You call it the Facebook, eh?
Okay.
You know who else calls it the Facebook?
My mom.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say. Like, 60-year-old.
Yep.
No, not 60, because we're like almost like.
Right. My mom.
90-year-old.
My mom's like, Facebook. My mom calls it the Google. Explaining technology to my mom is like probably the best thing I've ever experienced. Because then she's like, Rick, come in here and help me on the Google. And I'm like, you can listen live. You can go to CJD. You can listen. And she's like, how do I do that? So you type in CJD, and she's like, oh,
wow.
Why isn't it talking to me now? I'm like, Mom, you
gotta
hit
turn
play.
on the speaker.
You gotta hit play. And she's like, where's the play button?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a special lady.
I don't know why I have her voice like that now. Why is it? She doesn't really talk like that.
She doesn't know.
Well, I mean,
should we
she
just
kinda
get her
does.
on the air? Can we call her?
Probably not. I feel like she's barely got the phone down pat, let alone the Google. So, it's baby steps.
Okay, so here's my question to you now. You didn't bring me lava.
I was really close to the lava. I was like 5 miles away, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool!" Like, I got to see a little bit of smoke, and then we were 45 miles away,
You
and I was
didn't
like, "Oh
think
my
of, like,
god!"
I'm gonna bring some ash back for Terry.
We smelt it one day.
But there was like
smelt
no
it.
ash. That was.
It was like we were too far away. I
Okay.
think it's within like 10 miles that you could like see ash.
Okay.
We were 45 miles away.
And you didn't think about like actually going there, closer.
Like a storm chaser?
Yeah.
Like a volcano chaser? No.
You could dress in those like big silver suits.
What big silver suits? Are you thinking astronauts?
No. Those are white suits.
Not if they're covered in ash.
They wouldn't be silver. They
They'd
would be
kind
gray.
of like a silvery gray. Like
I'm talking about, you know, those fire suits. Okay, now I have to Google it because
Go on the Google.
Go on the
I'm
Google.
going on the Google
Rick?
to search for.
Rick, come in here. Try to get her on the radio.
So there, see, fire suits. They're silver. I know I'm not crazy.
I've got friends watching live right now. Nat. Hi, Nat.
Here, see, fire suit.
Yeah.
And I think you would actually, just between us, I think you would actually look pretty hot in it.
Oh yeah? Is it like a... Wow, thank you for thinking I look good wrapped in tinfoil. Just a giant...
Okay, so here's a story. I studied, I was at Dawson in mechanical engineering technology.
Okay.
And we used to cast aluminum and pieces. So
Right.
we would make things out of aluminum.
Statues.
Little statues, cannons, all kinds of weird. I made a cannon, yeah.
How'd you go from a statue to a cannon?
Like, it's kind of like a statue.
Like you blow things out of the cannon?
Yeah, it was fun. We had crazy teachers. Anyone that's listening, please disregard what I just said. Anyway, so we used to cast all these things, and we were downstairs where the furnace was, where we would make the pieces.
Yeah.
So I decide it's complicated. We have to wear those suits because otherwise we.
You wore that suit.
Yeah, we wear
Can you show
suits
them
like that.
this suit? Is it too far away to see the silver suit?
Hold on. So we used to wear those suits, and I thought it was a good idea on the lunch break to actually go to the cafeteria in that suit.
Right.
And
then
I actually
people-
walked around Dawson wearing that suit.
And nobody looked twice because it was Dawson.
Yeah, exactly. What are you saying about Dawson? Exactly here.
My friend David Acker, who owns the Comedy Nest, does a very funny bit about the different stage ups.
Okay.
And he has a very funny joke about Dawson where he's like, this is, you know, he has your hat like this if you go to, I forget which one, you have your hat backwards if you go to this cool one, then you have your hat out like this,
like
asking for money. And I think it's Dawson.
Really?
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 I don't have an opinion on
This is a
different
fire
stage
suit.
ups.
This is a fire suit. Okay.
And you wore that. Do you still have it?
I don't have it. No. It
Oh.
was over there. See. Okay. Whatever.
Whatever. Hi to Alex. Alex is watching too right now. We have Alex and Nat watching on
Hi,
on
Alex and
Facebook.
Nat.
We got
Facebook
quite
Live.
a few people watching. If you want to say hi.
Yeah, give us some shout outs, Mara. Why don't you come around here and do a couple like in the break?
What am I gonna do, cheerleading?
You can just you can list off the people that are watching. Can they hear you right now?
Unbelievable.
Why don't you come over? Come on over.
I'm
It's
minding
Christmas.
the fort here.
She wants no part of that.
No. Who's
Yes,
doing
I'm
news
nuts.
today? Where's Luch?
I don't know who this is. He's a new guy. Hello, new guy.
Can you not bother the guy doing the news?
I know, right? What if he's new?
I've already
He's smiley though. He's got a little mustache.
Yeah.
It's Movember, except it's December. Somebody should tell him he needs to give it a little trimmy trim. You know,
Why?
trimmaroo.
Nah. Looks good.
Yeah, you're into like mustaches.
I am.
I know,
We should
he's a
actually
good one.
call him in here.
Why, you guys are going to compare
Not bug
mustaches?
the guy, please.
I know.
I actually had told Luciano one time. I said, you know, one day I'm gonna do something to make you crack up.
Well,
Because
it's
for
really
people
nice.
that don't realize this, there's a glass over here, and on the other side of the glass there's the actual news, the news booth.
The
I
news
guess you
booth.
call it. And sitting in front of me at a news booth, not a good thing.
Yeah.
Not a good thing.
So like.
So I told him I'm gonna do something that's gonna crack you up.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you do that, I will kill you. So,
Did he say it like that?
yeah, exactly. So, see, look, wire just came out. See, just like that, boom, broken.
What did you break?
I had to adjust it.
Here, let's see if I can pull up. I have to consolidate. Maybe you can help me with this. All of my Facebook profiles. I have 5.
How are you gonna?
I don't think you're allowed to. It's
Well, you can
maximum
make-
5,000.
No, but I have a fan page, and it's got like 11,000, and then I've got like 4 other ones that just like grew over the years. I just want them all to all get along, you know. And it's like they're not. I feel like you're giving me a look.
Yeah.
All right, how can I see?
Hey, you.
How can I see on my phone if the people that are watching live?
So shout out to
there it
Joe
is.
Abrams, Aline Zafarian.
Well, you're the one
Andy
that's reading them
Garcia,
out.
Can I hear
Rena Picciano.
So many
Terry
people.
Kilakos is watching it too.
Shout out
Shout
to
out to Terry
Terry.
Kilakos.
I wonder if I can check in without logging in.
We got Marav, Athena, Brandon, Astra, Nicholas B. York, John Anastasiou, Itzik Romano, Andy Garcia, Bill Keebler, Tina, Solmaz, Glenda, Stanley, and Natalie Marcoux. Thank you for watching.
What was that TV show in like the 90s? And it was like, and I see Billy, and I see Sally, and I see, and it's like through like the
Talking
romper,
about
was it the romper room or something?
I don't know, but
There was
that
like a
sounds
window.
really creepy.
It was
talking
super
about
creepy.
the Wonder Years?
No, it wasn't the Wonder Years.
It was like a kid's show.
It was a kids show, and they're all
Oh,
sitting
God.
on like the
Passepartout.
floor, and it's
Oh,
like
the polka dot door.
maybe it was the polka dot door, and
Yeah.
they're like, and I see Betty, and it was super creepy, and they never ever said Chantal ever, and that's all I wanted out of life.
Yeah, I think that was the polka dot door because they
They
were
never
seeing
said
you
Marav
through.
either.
They never said Marav or Chantal.
They never said
Probably
Satirios either.
Oh, you're back.
I am digging our new music, Terry. Did you,
You like
pick
it?
this?
No, this is all thanks to David Simon.
David Simon,
Yeah.
our producer.
He's the man.
He's rocking out right now.
Yeah.
Like in a silent way.
Yeah.
It's a silent rocker. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that in a rocker.
Yeah.
That's Terry Kilakos, the president of Northeast Mortgages and a chartered mortgage broker from Northeast Mortgages. I'm Chantal Desjardins, not of Northeast Mortgages, but kind of. I'm coming to the Christmas party.
That's right. Which is
So,
this Wednesday.
I'll be there.
If anybody wants to come,
No,
it's at the Wonder Bar. Just saying.
Wow. Okay.
You could just crash
we
it.
just went there. I feel like this was one of those high school parties where you tell one kid in grade 10 math class and suddenly, the cops come and
Yeah, that's it.
you get grounded for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So besides hosting giant parties, Terry's telling us about the mortgage financing triangle. We discussed credit, we discussed equity, and today we're closing out with income. Let's talk about self-employed people. What type of income is accepted?
Okay, so there's 2 types of self-employed people. There's the ones that declare the revenue and the ones that don't.
Oh, the
Okay.
sneaky ones, right?
Well, let's go back to that consultant, right? So he's earning $100,000 a year, and let's assume that he has a creative accountant that's able to write off everything. So from his $100,000, what he's actually showing on his notice of assessment is $15,000 or $20,000, which is very common, by the way, for self-employed people.
Sure.
That's what they do. The problem is when you go and apply for a mortgage, what the bank is going to look at, they're going to look at your $15,000. They're not going to look at your $100,000. Even though you think that they're going to look at that, they're not going to look at it. So that would be an example of someone that does not declare their revenues. There is still a program available for people like that. It's called the Alt-A program. Okay, so it's an alternative A lending product, and it allows you to do an auto declaration. Your credit has to be on the stronger side, plus you need to put a minimum of 10% down payment when you're buying. This program is not available if you want to refinance your mortgage, but it is available for purchases, and the maximum number of units that you could be going into is 2, so you can only buy as much a duplex. We can gross up the revenues, or we can state revenues as needed to make the file work, but it has to make sense. If the gross revenues of the company are $100,000 and we need $200,000, it's not going to work. Ça va pas marcher l'affaire, right? So it's gonna fall apart.
Right.
Then there's the other type of self-employed person who actually declares their revenues. So they have a company, they write off whatever needs to be written off, and then they'll say, you know what, I made 100 after my deductions and stuff like that. I'm at 80,000 or 85,000, whatever. That's good. We'll use the 80,000. We are able to do a little bit of a gross up on that income, usually about 15%, depending on the institution that we go with, and you'll be good to go. And you can put 5% down, and it's like as if you're a normal employee at that point. So it's important to make that distinction. And then there's the other type of self-employed person which gets paid on dividends. If you're getting paid on dividends, and as a matter of fact, if you're a self-employed person that's declaring the revenue, the way that the bank is going to confirm that revenues is by looking at the last 2 years' notice of assessment. So they're going to want to make sure that you have a track record of actually receiving that income. If you have over the last 2 years, let's say in 2015 you earned $100,000, and then the year after you earned $75,000, the income that the bank is going to use is 75. But if it was reversed and it was 75 and 100, what they're going to do is they're going to add the two together, divide them by 2, so take an average, and that'll be the income that they're going to use.
So what happens if you don't declare enough? Like how do you
well,
what's your answer if you're
So I've had clients, we're not going to mention what ethnicity because I'm one of them. And they come in and they're like, I have this restaurant, and no, I hope I'm not offending anyone right now as I'm saying it, but I am Greek, so whatever. Anyways, so I have this restaurant, and my restaurant makes millions of dollars a year, but you know what? I only declare $1,000 at the end of the year, and I look at them and I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
Besides the fact that Revenue Quebec's going to come and give you a government
kick in the butt
or a government funded colonoscopy. Okay, sorry to say it like that, but it's this is the reality of it. You're not going to be able to get financing. You're not going to be able to do a mortgage. You're not going to be able to do this. And a lot of times they've been misguided by their accountants to declare as little as possible. And they'll come to me and they'll say, oh, you know what? I'm sure there's a way if we pay for the mortgage, if we do this, if we do that, for you to get this done. And I look at them and I'm like, with all due respect, it doesn't work like that. I'm not interested in, collecting bribes from people and getting mortgages done. I always tell them, instead of having to pay people to go out and get your mortgages done, why don't you declare more revenue, pay that money to the government, and you'll be good to go.
Right.
Right? It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. But it's just a matter of people being a little misguided by the professionals that they're using.
And for how many years before, like, you could even sort of plan for that, right? If
Absolutely. Definitely.
So what, 2 years?
2 years. Yeah, absolutely. You want to buy a property, you need to refinance, you need to do something. Just plan for a couple of years. Meet with someone that actually knows what they're talking about and set yourself up.
Any other advice for self-employed
individuals? Declare your revenues.
That's it. That's the big one.
Declare your revenues as much as you possibly can. Offset those revenues by, other means, buy RSPs, do whatever needs to, use other tax strategies, but do not just say, well, you know what, I make 100,000, so I'm going to write it all off until I'm down to 10,000.
Yeah.
So I could be below the poverty line. It doesn't make sense.
Texts are coming in like crazy. Write your names, though. I like to say that, like, Terry from, the restaurant is writing in. But so somebody, we'll call them what? We'll call them Bob again.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, what's your opinion on cashback mortgages to pay off debt?
They're good. We've set them up for a couple of clients as well. So a cashback mortgage, basically the financial institution, what they're going to do is they're going to give you a 5% cashback at signing, which you can use to pay off lines of credit, credit cards, so on and so forth. The thing that you have to be careful of with a cashback mortgage is typically when a cashback is set up, it's going to be set up at a much higher interest rate. So if you're able to secure a mortgage at, let's say, 3%, and now you're getting a cashback, and the cashback is going to be at 4.5%, that's a calculation that you need to do to actually see if it actually makes sense to use it as a mean to pay off a credit card debt. We have done it, or whatever debt, loan, car, all kinds of stuff. We have done it for clients. There is a lot of calculating that is involved, and if it makes sense, we do it. If it doesn't make sense, we don't do it. You also have to remember, if you take a cashback mortgage, if you break that mortgage in the 5-year term that you have to pay back that cashback. Mm-hmm. So when you go into a bank and they say to you, hey, you're a wonderful client and we love you, and here's $1,500 for your notary. That $1,500 that they're giving you is considered a cashback. And if you break that mortgage, it's tacked onto the penalty. So make sure
just be careful.
Yeah, make sure you know where you're signing.
Jerry wrote in, my mortgage is due for renewal in 11 months. I'm driving an 11-year-old car and would like to know if you recommend adding $10,000 to my mortgage for a new used car.
No. So again, there's calculations that are involved, right? If you go out and you buy a new car, yes, you're going to have an increase. You're going to have car payments of $350 a month, whatever it's going to be. If you add it to the mortgage, adding $10,000 to a mortgage, it's going to be negligible, the amount that it's going to go up by. But you got to remember, when you use your mortgage to pay for a vehicle, your car is going to be gone. You're actually amortizing that over 25 years. So your car is going to be long gone, right? And you're still paying for it for the next 20, 25 years. If you're going to add a car onto your mortgage, you have to make sure it makes sense. So you got to look at it and say, okay, my payment was supposed to be $350. I'm adding it onto the mortgage. So now it's going to be an extra $10 that I'm going to be paying a month. What am I going to do with that extra $340? If you do something smart with that $340, then the exercise is successful. It was a good plan. If you don't do something smart with it and you take that $340 and you go spend it on whatever, it's a waste. It's a waste.
All right.
It's all a matter of calculating things properly.
So wise, Terry. So wise.
Yeah. Tell that to my wife. Sorry.
I will. Marav, so wise. Marav's not talking, though. Keep trying to get her on the air, and she's having no part of it. You know who is having a part of it is Kira Yeager, who's taking a look at our streets. Let's check in with her and then get back to this mortgage financing triangle.
Dun-dun.
Hello. Well,
You're not gonna let go until I go on the air.
I think it's so cute to have you at least now. Come wave to the Facebook people.
The Facebook people.
Yeah, what's up with you and the Facebook people?
Well, it started because I was making fun of my mom so much, and now I just kind of like the way it sounds. You're like the Google, the Facebook.
Oh, snap.
What?
I just got a thing on, it says, oh, snap on Facebook.
Oh.
I'm telling you, this computer is just not.
Is it funny I have 5 Facebook profiles and I can't log into any of them right now? Yeah.
I love people.
That's it? That's your whole
I
statement?
love people.
I love people.
I love people.
So a shout out to Peter Adamopoulos.
And a shout out to Itzik Romano again.
And Peter...
You know Itzik. He
I
was
know
at our
Itzik.
house this morning.
Yes,
really?
he was.
That's fun. What was he doing?
He's my son's friend's dad.
Oh, that's nice.
Son's friend's dad. Shout out to George Dravakos and to Jeff Sampson. And to Karen Magazinich. Long time no see.
Karen, give us a call. We gotta get together, do some dinner.
It's cool. I don't like.
Let's set something up on the Facebook.
On the Facebook. On the Facebook.
Chantal, we missed you.
I was worried I was gonna have to do the show.
She asked me right away, how was it?
I know.
I was like, it wasn't as good as you.
Yeah, right. Feels like you're dating both of us. And Dan's amazing.
So
you can keep him.
So Chantal basically said that I was cheating on her with my ex-girlfriend, i.e. Dan.
And the girlfriend in this case is Dan.
Yeah.
So.
Get it? Because he was.
Get it.
Yeah,
Get it.
I think we get it.
I think we get it.
Yeah.
Little tidbit about Dan and I, we took a comedy class together. We started our comedy careers at the same time. Do you know that?
I do know that.
Oh. Well, obviously I tell you too many stories. I'm used to hanging out with people that don't listen.
Dan just logged on to Facebook.
Hi, Dan.
Dan, we have literally been talking about you like nonstop this whole show.
The whole show. It's the Dan. The Dan on the Facebook.
Yeah.
Is what we've been doing.
Dan on the Facebook?
Dan on the Facebook.
Yeah.
Shout out to Leor Doron.
I love that you're just this random voice. Like you're not like. Why don't you just come and do a wave or something?
Yeah.
I've got my.
Wait, unplug the headphones.
I'm plugged into the table. I can't.
Oh.
You're so not plugged into the table.
I know.
You're
You look so cute.
I'm gonna get you like wireless headphones.
Yeah, we are. Or do you remember that old school, the Bluetooth thing that all the business guys used to? Hey, you know what movie I just watched this time? We're outside. The Big Short. Just watched it for the first time.
That's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
You have to watch it 12 more times to be able to get it.
My favorite part in that
Yeah.
whole movie
is when they go to the hot blonde in the bathtub to explain
Yeah,
the.
what was her name?
I don't know.
The woman
Doesn't
from
matter.
Wolf of Wall Street. What's her name?
Oh, I haven't seen the Wolf of Wall Street. What?
Shameful.
Right? Is it
What's
amazing?
her name?
Megan.
Oh my god. What's her name? Facebook world.
Facebook world.
What's Megan?
No.
You're looking at me like I know.
Up. Wolf of
Why?
Wall Street
This is why we have
actress.
the Facebook.
The Facebook.
Okay, at this point I'm annoying even myself saying the Facebook, so I'm gonna have to like.
Margot Robbie.
That's.
I don't know.
Margot. Yeah, that's my
What else
favorite
was she
part.
in?
Wolf of Wall Street,
And?
The Big Short.
That's it? She only does finance?
Focus with Will Smith.
Yeah, and she plays my other favorite character, which is in
The Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad.
Haven't seen
Yeah.
the Suicide Squad.
Like you need to like up your movie.
I know. I have just started watching. As a comedian, I've been ashamed of myself. Curb Your Enthusiasm. I just watched my first, because coming back from Asia, it's like the longest flight ever. It's like 27 hours. Have you ever been on a flight where the chair turns into a bed?
Yes, I
was on Air
was on one of
Singapore, and
those.
it was amazing. Like you pull it down, you're full on mattress.
Warm.
Oh, we gotta do a show right now. Gotta do a show. Just doing a little show with my friend Terry Kilakos. And that was just the show on the Facebook, which I said I'd stop saying it right now.
There's something seriously wrong with you. Like, honestly. I'm fairly certain that.
Yeah. You can check it out if you go to Terry Kilakos' Facebook page. You can see all the fun that we do behind the scenes. I mean, obviously we save all the good stuff for on air, but just a little tidbit of fun.
Yeah.
In the breaks.
Mm-hmm.
So fun is mortgage financing triangles. Didn't even know how fun it could be until the last 4 weeks of my life.
Yeah.
And we talked about credit and we talked about equity, and now we're closing it out with income.
Yeah.
Now we have a question. Does it make a difference if you were to put 35 or even 50% down payment for those of us with lots of money just waiting to put it down?
Yes. So remember what we've talked about, how the triangle, the way that it works is one side will compensate for the other, or two sides will compensate for the other. So if you have weakness on your income and you're able to put a larger down payment, well, that's going to compensate for the fact that you don't have as much income, right? So if you're putting 35 or 50% down payment, now you're falling under equity programs, and yeah, no problem.
All right.
You're going to be able to, it'll help you out.
Good.
Yeah.
Good to know. Got a message from John saying, can I show my company's financial statements to prove I make money even though I don't declare a lot?
Again, so something like that would be perfect for a purchase, and you could use the Alt-A program to do it. You can't use it for a refinance. If, however, John is comfortable with paying a little bit of a higher interest rate, then we could use something like that with one of the alternative lenders, and he could be set up. Yeah.
If you have any questions out there, 514-790-0800. We can get a call in or text for those shy ones that don't want to hear their voices at 514-800, or keep track of us on Facebook Live and ask your questions there. We have hi from Joe. Good idea to cash in RSPs to pay off debt, $25,000 in order to qualify for a mortgage.
Well, think of it like this. When you're buying a house, it all depends on whether or not this is Joe's first house or not. You're going to be allowed to cash up to $25,000 out of your RSPs using the home buyer's plan to use towards paying off debt. So my advice to anyone that has a lot of debt that they're actually carrying when they're buying a house, I always like to make sure that people's debts are paid off. So it doesn't make sense for you to be carrying a whole bunch of debts and have a lower monthly mortgage payment. But again, how you end up structuring that savings is going to determine whether or not what you did makes sense or it doesn't make sense, right? So it could be a good idea. It could also be really bad. Because don't forget, if you're not buying a house, or if you've already bought a house and you're taking that $25,000 out, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have to pay taxes on that money. And there is a way to do it where it could work out in your favor. We have helped clients because we do have the financial services arm as well. Mm-hmm. So we have used people's RSPs to pay off debts. And then we structure a way for them to repay it. and they end up getting back the tax that they paid on it. So there's ways to do it. You just have to.
You just have to ask Terry.
Yeah.
Is what you have to do.
Exactly.
So as for income, can rental income or even child tax benefits be considered?
Yes.
As income, okay.
Yes. It's not all banks that will accept it, but yes, allocation familiale could be used. There's only a couple of banks that will allow us to use it. The kids have to be under the age of 13 in most cases, because they have to make sure that in that first 5-year term, you are going to continue to receive that money. So it can be used, no problem. If we're looking at rental revenues, there's a couple of banks that are going to use a favorable calculation when they're using rental revenue. The majority of banks are basically going to only take 50% of it. So if you're earning $1,000, they're going to say $500 is going to be used, and they tack it onto your gross rental, your gross revenue for the year, and and then you run it through the GDS calculations and all that stuff, and at the end you end up having nothing left of that rent. So they don't like landlords, banks, to be perfectly
Who
honest
really
with you.
likes landlords? I mean,
I like landlords because I am a landlord.
Fair enough. Jen just asked, what about freelancers and people who work on contract? That's
Same
the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah. So you need 2 years notice of assessment. Definitely. If you don't have the 2 years notice of assessment that can justify that revenue, we can use the alternative, the Alt-A program to get you in. But again, you need to be able to prove that there is the possibility of you earning that money. Your company can't be earning $30,000 a year and you're declaring that you're making 100. It won't work. But if your company's making 100, you're declaring 50, and we need to use 70, no problem.
Okay, last question for the day from the texting world. Do you consider dividends in the income calculation, from Laura?
Yes, we need 2 years to prove the dividends,
Yeah.
and we could use them.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, I think, are we closing out the mortgage financing triangle?
Yes, we are. Actually, there is one more that just came in. Which banks won't apply the new stress test? All the banks will apply the new stress test. Okay, there is a couple of banks, if you're talking about certain credit unions and stuff like that, that have their own kind of ways of doing things. But for the most part, the new OSFI rules that are coming into effect December 31st will be applied by all banks.
Okay. And I guess that's it for the triangle.
Yeah.
We've covered credit, we've covered equity, and we've covered my favorite, income. And if you have more questions, go to Facebook. You can ask Terry. You'll answer them. You're just going to stick on Facebook for the rest of the day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have it like it's hanging off of like my ear, I was about to say, but that doesn't make
That's
sense.
weird.
Whatever.
That's just a weird statement.
Yeah.
Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages and chartered mortgage broker at northeastmortgages.ca. What are we going to be discussing next week?
I have no clue.
Oh. Well.
So we're going to, so next week.
Before I give you 30 seconds to talk about next week.
So next week we're going to be summarizing the entire year, okay? Because it is our last show for the year, and then we're going to be back in January. So we're going to be summarizing what's happened in the real estate world and what is to be expected in January and February of next year. So for anyone that's thinking about buying or selling their homes next year, it's going to be a very good show to listen to. We will most likely have a real estate broker that's going to come in as well. It's going to be Elenia Krivos that's going to come and join us in studio next week. So it's going to be fun.
Well, great.
Yeah.
It's been a blast. Glad I came back from the volcano for you.
I'm glad you're safe.
Thank you. That's Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages and chartered mortgage broker. Check him out at northeastmortgages.ca or call him at 514-680-4674 with all of your questions. I'm Chantal Desjardins, and that's a wrap for CJAD's The Real Estate Show.
During our holiday event, lease the 2018 Sierra Elevation Edition with double cab for the equivalent of $99 per week for 48 months. With 20-inch wheels and a spacious cabin, you'll even make Old St. Nick jealous. Ho, 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 yes. Down payment of $3,396. 104 bi-weekly payments of $198 after $1,000 GM Visa card application bonus. 16